So hello everyone, welcome to yet another live from THiNC Institute of Design. We are going to talk about the second Nata, the morning session that has happened today on the 7th of July. So we have with us a panel of smart champions. We have Pranjal, we have Sanjana and Mahit with us. Some of them are really tired after the exams, but still they have lent us a valuable time and energy to talk about these exams. To everyone who is watching, you can post your queries, questions, suggestions, and things like that in the live chat box. We would take it up. We would take, if there are any questions, we would take it up. If you have any further opinions about the exams that you have written, we would love to listen to that. So with that in my mind, let me welcome this particular panel. Hello, Pranjal. Hello, Sanjana. Hello, Mahit.
Hello, sir.
Great. So I think we'll start with the. So everyone has written the first Nata here, first and second Nata.
Yeah.
Cool. So in that case, I think the first question that we can start off with is comparing Nata 1 and Nata 2. So Pranjal, how was it? How was the first Nata and second Nata? How do you compare it?
It was good. In the first, I was like the first time giving Nata, so I was a bit nervous about it, but it went well. And the second one, I was more prepared for it. So I think my second one went better.
Okay. So you mean to say second one was a little bit more easier, is it?
Yes.
Okay. Sanjana, how was it? How was it for you? How did you find first versus second? Sanjana, can you please unmute yourselves?
Can you hear me?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I feel like both of them are equally easy. They're not that difficult, but I feel like the way they put the questions is a bit different. But the same level of difficulty. I find them both same.
Are you saying that you're going to score exactly the same?
Probably, most probably.
Chalo. Mahit, how was it? How was it for you compared to the first one? How was the second one for you?
For me, it was like okay, but it was a little bit harder than the first exam. Like they asked so many of the arc awareness related questions and all. And the physics part, mainly physics part, they started asking the physics calculation that questions, and it was difficult. And I was not prepared for it. And also, they'll ask a lot about the principles of composition and all. So that was easier, I think. And max was arithmetic aptitude was a little bit tough. So I think second exam was a little tougher than the first exam.
Okay, second exam was a little tougher. I think some of the topics that makes it tougher was probably physics and also the observation-based questions, right? So let's start from the observation-based questions. So how exactly was the observation-based questions? Mahit, could you please share your perspective on that? How did you find this attempt observation-based questions?
Yeah, in this attempt we cannot predict the questions. Like when we saw an image and last session we can predict the questions, and for this exam we cannot predict the exact questions and all. And what we look in the image and write down on the paper will not be the question, and that was little confusing. And yeah, that was a little tough. And also there was a question asking about the name of the place that address in a board, and also, and the board was not even cleared, and we don't know the name, and it was tough.
It's probably typical Nata playing their tricks on this Masoom kids. Okay, moving on. Pranjal, how was it for you? How was the observation questions for you?
They were a bit tricky. The pictures were very detailed. It was very difficult to keep track of all the things that were happening. And it was a tough, like, observation was like in the second attempt, it was more difficult than the first one. The questions were easier. And that's it.
Okay. Sanjana, how was it? How was it for you?
Yeah, the observation questions were a bit harder than session one. I guess it's a small time gap, I suppose. There's so many details, it's so hard to keep track of it. And they give unexpected questions. So we might have a prediction of what they might ask, and we might keep track of it. For like the number of cars, so we'll note down the number of cars. They won't even ask that. They'll ask something completely different. So it's a bit surprising. Some surprises here and there.
Okay, so I think they've not asked probably the obvious, and there is way too much detailing that has gone into it. Okay, Mahit, anything to add on that?
You mean on the observation questions?
Yeah.
No, it's exactly the same thing for me, right?
Okay. I also heard one thing that I think I remember the last time they were saying that these observation questions came all of a sudden. So we were like not prepared. So how was it this time, Mahit? Did they have any
Last
sort
time it's a part A and part B. Part A is on the theory part and part B observation, right? So the last question, like I think 115, last question. After we save and next the question, the observation image will start coming up. So we are not prepared for that. So in this time, we know that that will be happening. So it was not that confusing.
Okay. Okay. Guys, there's a suggestion from one of our viewers, Bhavani Prasad Reddy. So if you can talk about the questions also, the questions that you have got while you're explaining, it will be really helpful. If you can remember those questions. Okay. Moving on to something which most of you felt was harsh, physics, the numerical questions. Let's talk about that. So Sanjana, how was it? How was the physics numerical questions?
Physics numerical questions were hard. They demanded equations from the past. I have already erased most of it from my memory. So they were quite tough. But if I did put effort and try to focus more on the physics part of my study, I might have been able to attempt it. But it was a bit hard for me. Yes, it was.
So what do you remember? Like what topics was it? Was it?
One of them was about a car. I think about this banking of a curve and how much speed a car has to go before it overturns. Again, related to real life situations, and they gave coefficient of friction and other numerical stuff too.
Okay. Pranjal, how was it? How were the physics questions for you?
It was tricky, it was difficult, and I feel like if you like revise like the topics work done and like speed, distance, time topics well, you can like attempt those. Like majority of the physics ones are from these subjects. So that's what I think, and I was able to do them.
Oh, you were able to do them?
Yeah, because like I was like in coaching, they sometimes revise those things as well.
Nice. Okay. Then I think the next best person to answer that is Mahit. Mahit, how was the physics questions?
Yeah, physics. I don't remember that much formulas and all. So I all vanished my physics studying. I studied physics last year, so I dropped all that in a side and focused on Nata only and on the syllabus. But this time, surprisingly, they asked about the calculation and all, and I was like, no, I can't do it, and I skipped it. Yeah, but physics theory part was easy. Calculations was tough. I don't remember the formulas and all. Yeah.
Okay. I think one of the other things that a lot of students told in the first Nata, and also some of you have already loosely mentioned it, was about the GK. So the first Nata was a lot more on GK. So how do you think this one was? Like, what were the kind of questions? Can you please share a little bit? Like, can you recollect, Sanjana, any questions based on, let's say, GK, or I think there were also questions on logos or anything of that sort. Sanjana, can you please shed some light on that?
I think they asked logos. Yeah, they also asked about flags. There was a question on flags, but in the 20-second picture, observation type question. But aside that, I don't think they asked the type of questions they did in session one. In session one, they asked things like the type of flower and other much more very common, not so architectural questions. But in session two, they asked more architectural questions. They didn't ask about flags, didn't ask about the name of flower or anything. Most of them were about buildings, so that was a bit odd, I would think.
So what was it about? Like, what kind of questions on architecture was it? Is it about?
Yeah, they showed a picture of They will show a picture of a monument, and they'll ask which monument it is. What does that part stand for? They showed a picture of Jantar Mantar, and they asked which part is it used, like what is it used for? Is it for astronomical observations, that sort of thing? So they mostly asked buildings. They also asked logos of cars and that sort. but they didn't ask other common objects as such.
Okay. We have a question from Believer. What about chemistry? Was it there, Sanjana?
I don't think there's chemistry. I have not seen any chemical formula anywhere. No, chemistry is not here.
Okay. Pranjal, regarding the GK questions, anything that you would like to shed some light on?
Yeah, in the GK part, I remember one question, like they ask, like match the following sort of, like they would give pictures of monuments and you need to match either to where they're from or the place, or like what's their name. Like they asked about Gateway of India, India Gate, and like that they were asking, and also about cities and what they are famous for. What is Agra famous for? What is Jaipur famous for? Is it famous for the textile or diamonds or things like that? They were asking.
Okay. Okay.
And in like session 1, I feel like they asked more about the architects as well, and like their projects and the things they've created. I couldn't find any of that in session 2.
Okay. Okay. Apollo has a comment. There was a question exactly taken from this year's JE exam, and one question with the same pattern as this year's UC exam. Does anyone of you recollect that, or has anyone of you written these exams to see the question papers? Sanjana, any clue?
I'm not sure. I think they probably mean the top view of a building. I feel like that those type of questions were there.
Okay, the front elevation sort of questions.
I don't remember any specific question that was commonly there in all of them.
Okay, great. Okay, James says it was so hard. Okay, let's see. Okay, so talking about the other subjects like the arithmetic or the maths portion that was there. So how was it this time? Mahit, how did you feel about that particular topic?
For arithmetic, they asked a little questions only this time, and that was tougher than the last time. Last time they I think they asked a lot more questions than this time, and that was easier. And this time, as far as I think, like it only like less than 10 questions they asked, and it was harder this time. So
okay,
arithmetic was a little bit tougher than the last time.
Okay, Pranjal, how was it?
I felt it was easier, the maths portion. Like they asked one, like they gave an equation and they asked like what's the degree of this polynomial, and another question it was around like asking volume of a cylinder, and they already gave the like area of the upper portion and you just had to like easily put it in the formula. I felt it was very easy, like the maths portion. And I felt there were little reasoning questions.
Okay. Hemin Harry says it was harder than the first attempt. Arithmetic was tougher. Okay. What was the shaded triangle answer? Okay, interesting. Okay, moving on. Okay, I think I missed out on somebody. Who was that? Regarding the arithmetic, was it Sanjana? Yeah. Please go on.
The arithmetic, I feel like it was fairly easy, but I felt like it had more work to do. Like the session 1 was simple. It was simple. I could calculate in my head. But in the second one, I had to like write on the paper more and check if it's correct again, especially in ratio and proportions. But like the geometry part was fairly easy.
Okay. I think there was less of geometry part in the first Nata, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Let's take one more subject. Let's talk about the language. Let's talk about English also. So how was it? Pranjal? How was English for you?
It was easy. Nothing complicated in that. They just gave passages and stuff and you had to answer from those. Like they didn't even ask any tricky questions or something. It was just read and give the answer, sort of.
How many? Can you recollect like how much was the weightage, or how many questions were there?
Not really. Like each passage would have like 4 or something questions.
How many passages were there approx?
I guess 4, 5 around.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Sanjana, yes. English, how was it for you?
I think English questions were the fastest questions I managed to attend. They were very easy indeed. And yeah, they were pretty simple. One of them was about architecture and the types of arcs. And another one is about music, seasons. And those are simple passages. They didn't have much very complicated vocabulary or anything. So they were fairly okay. They weren't tough like arithmetic.
Okay. Before I move on to Mahit, to everyone who is watching, please let me know in the live chat box, like which one do you find easier? Is it Nata 1 or Nata 2? Let me see if there is a unanimous answer to that. Let just comment in the live chat box. Yes, Mahit. So talking about English, how is it?
Yeah, for me it was easier than the last exam because it was also always the direct answers from the question. The questions were all direct. Yeah, so it was easy, I think. And they were also asked last exam they asked little bit tougher words, meanings of the words, synonyms for tougher words like. And this exam it was also easier. Like we can predict the answer. Yeah, so this was so easy than last time.
Okay. Okay, we have a comment which says there were questions from Chettinad, Kotiad, quotes of famous by personal. Okay, those questions about Rajya Sabha, right? I think the tenure of Rajya Sabha and all was asked probably, right? Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Ankita says first attempt is easier than the second one. Okay. Okay. To the $1 million question now. How many of you are going to write the third Nata? Show of hands.
No.
Mahid, are you done? Are you tired?
Yeah, I'm done with these exams and all. I can't handle this tension.
Pranjal, what makes you think that you should write one more Nata? You've already written a couple of Nata exams. Let's just share your thought process.
It's like 50-50 sort of right now. Like I'll decide after the result, and if I like feel like it, because right now I'm going to focus on JEE second attempt.
Oh, okay.
And I'll see after that if I feel like I can do better, because the risk is high. I don't want to lower my score or anything. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, I think we almost have a unanimous winner with 85 plus percentage people saying that Nata 1 was easier. Sanjana, what are your takes on the third Nata? Do you want to go for it? What do you think?
I have the stamina to do another Nata, but it depends upon my grades. If the results are okay, maybe I'll take session two's grades instead of session one. But session three taking would be a risk, all that sort of thing.
Okay, I think so. All you people have written both the Natas, right? So there are three aspirants, two Natas. So that's like a combined effort experience of 6 Nata exams. Tell me in one line or 2 lines, what would be that one thing that you would have to say to those students who are preparing for the third Nata? Any particular advice or any particular topic that you would want them to stress more upon? Because after the first Nata, I think it was more of a prediction, right? These could be the topics that might have more weightage and all. But I think after first Nata and the second Nata, there is a little bit more, probably a stabilization. It has reached a little bit more equilibrium. So Sanjana, will start with you. What would be the kind of advice, 1 or 2 piece of advice that you would love to give to the aspirants who were definite about writing the third Nata?
I think it's the architecture awareness. They ask questions about the types of arcs, the types of parts of buildings. So someone who's completely unaware about architecture may not do that great in Nata. So if you are trying to do Nata, study architecture deeply, like sink into the topic. Maybe that might help, because I feel like that's what they're testing the most in the entire exam.
Okay, great. Mahit, what do you have to say? What's your advice? Now that you've kept your pen down, right? Like you're not going to write also. So
Yeah.
as a veteran, what do you have to say?
From me, it's like principal compost and building elements. You should mainly focus on those. They were asking a lot of questions from them. And don't miss the art awareness part, because there is no questions in the first session. They will ask from that, I think. Yeah. And also the physics part, you should concentrate on work energy and all. Yeah, only that.
Okay, I think physics is also something that you are stressing upon. Okay, I think I've got a comment. Rachi, I feel pretty much everything was covered, but architecture questions are necessary. Okay, great. I think so that would be it. You need to cover up architecture awareness. You need to cover up principles of composition. So please do go ahead with that. Pranjal, are we good to go? Are you audible? I mean, am I audible? Can you speak?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. So anything that you want to give, any gold piece of advice that you want to give?
I would say like prepare well for the principles of design and color theory and all, because they ask many questions regarding from those and they are pretty scoring. And also keep your basics clear, like about maths and physics. They ask very, I feel like 10th level maths they ask.
Yep.
So just keep your basics clear. They don't ask any, like there was one PNC question, I feel like. So
Okay.
that was the only thing that I felt ki if people are completely detached from like 11th, 12th maths, they would have trouble. But other than that, it's just 10th level maths and physics too. So that's
Okay. I think that's great. Okay. The poll results have also come. 85% of them feel that Nata 1 was easier. Okay. So I think we'll ultimately have to wait. We'll have to see how exactly Nata is going to come up with the answer keys, whether there are any controversial answer keys that they're going to come up with, whether there should be any challenges to be done and things like that. Everyone has their own plans. Somebody is going to write JE paper 2. I think some of the students who are listening to us would be writing the coming up Nata exams and all. Okay. Some of you have done and dusted with the exams. They want to enjoy. So everyone has their own plans. All the best to everyone. All the best to everyone who is going to write the exams or whatever your plans are. Any further questions about those things like that, you can post it below this particular video. And a special thanks to all these 3 champions. I know you've been extremely stressed out. I can see it in your eyes what happened yesterday night. So thanks a lot for joining. Thanks a lot for joining, Pranjal, Sanjana, and Mahid. I think some of you even had to go to some place, but still join. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to everyone who's been watching this. And thank you, host. We can end this session. Thank you.